Let's talk about the planet Venus. You know, that super bright light you sometimes see in the morning or evening sky? Well, what if I told you there's an absolutely epic mythological story behind it? We're talking defiance, some pretty harrowing trials, and a spectacular rebirth that might just change how you see that planet forever. To really get into this story, we've got to start with a prayer for the being at its very heart. He goes by a few names like Bhargava and, importantly, Sukra. This ancient verse honors him as the great preceptor of the demons, the head teacher for the bad guys, and a brilliant mind who shines like snow. This really sets the stage for the powerful, complicated figure who will eventually become Venus. So how exactly does someone become the planet Venus? It's a pretty wild story. What if the journey involved being intentionally swallowed by a god, trapped inside his body, and then, well, reborn in probably the most unimaginable way possible? Because that's exactly where our story kicks off. Right. So before he was the planet Venus, or even the god Shukra, our protagonist was a powerful scholar named Usana. This guy was a genius, no question. But he had chosen a side in the great cosmic war between the gods and their rivals, a very dangerous side. Okay, so before we go any further, let's get our key players straight. On one side, you have the Devas, who are the gods, and on the other, you have the Asuras, their powerful rivals. And a guru? That's a spiritual teacher. The thing is, Ushana was the guru for the Asuras, which put him in a very, very tricky spot. And you have to understand, Usana wasn't just some run-of-the-mill teacher. He was the chief mentor, the head strategist for the enemies of the gods. Everyone knew how brilliant he was. But being that smart and working for the wrong side of a divine power struggle, well, that was just setting the stage for a major showdown. And that showdown came in the form of a seriously bold move. Usana, in a display of immense power and maybe a little bit of arrogance, decided he was going to take on one of the most powerful gods there is, Lord Shiva. So here's how this insane ordeal went down. First, Usana just enters Shiva's body. I mean, the sheer nerve of it. Shiva, of course, is completely enraged and retaliates by blocking all 9 of his orifices, basically turning himself into a divine prison. Trapped inside in this agonizing heat, Usana quickly realizes he's made a huge mistake and starts praying for mercy. His plea is heard, but the escape route is, well, it's unconventional. Shiva ejects him through his phallus. Yeah, you heard that right. But this absolutely bizarre and dramatic event wasn't the end. It was a new beginning. It was, in fact, a rebirth. In that one moment, Usana, the guru of the Asuras, was gone, and someone entirely new had emerged in his place. And this is the turning point. As Shiva stood there, ready to destroy the shaken Usana, his wife, the goddess Parvati, stepped in. She declared, "Usana has emerged from your genitals. This makes him my son. And so, he is now your son too." It was a brilliant move. By reframing the whole event, she basically argued he was no longer an enemy, he was family now. Her words literally saved his life and changed his destiny forever. And the transformation was total. The mortal scholar Usana, gone. In his place was the immortal god Sukra. The guru of the Asuras was now the son of the gods. And with this brand new status came a brand new power. He became the master of wealth, destined to grant it to his followers. But, you know, becoming a god didn't mean life suddenly got easy. In fact, Sukra's wisdom and his loyalty would soon be put to the ultimate test, in an event that would forge his legend and leave a permanent mark on him. This story is just iconic. So the god Vishnu shows up, but he's disguised as a dwarf named Vamana. He asks the Asura king Bali for a tiny gift, just 3 paces of land. But Sukra, who is now the king's advisor, immediately sees through the trick and warns his king. To physically stop the deal from happening, Sukra shrinks himself down to block the spout of the water pot they needed to seal the promise. But Vishnu, as Vamana, just pokes a little twig into the spout, boop, and blinds Sukra in one eye. And what's so important here is that this wasn't a punishment. It was the consequence of his loyalty. He was trying to protect his king from a divine trick, and he paid a huge price for it. That lost eye became a symbol, not of weakness, but of his incredible insight and his devotion. So when you put it all together, the profound knowledge, the intense trial, the divine rebirth, and this ultimate sacrifice, it all cements Shukra's place in the heavens as one of the most important celestial beings out there. And here's his complete legacy. He's still the great teacher of the Asuras. He's a powerful symbol of knowledge that's gained through incredible sacrifice. He becomes the master of wealth, the immortal son of Shima and Parvati, and ultimately one of the 9 revered Navagrahas. Those are the celestial beings that are said to influence all of our lives. So the next time you look up at the night sky and see that brilliant point of light we call Venus, remember the story of Shukra. It's a tale of a scholar who dared to challenge a god, who endured an impossible trial, and who was reborn into divinity. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does a story of such profound transformation and sacrifice actually tell us about the nature of the planet itself?